Monday Morning Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Esther of IPA Group, bringing premier online promotion to your business.
And Melanie of Stomp Social Media Training, who empowers business owners to manage social media and marketing for themselves. Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. Today we have Janine Coombes, service offers expert, with us, and we're talking how to expertly package your business. Welcome, Janine.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Packaging your business. Break that down for us. What packages, what services, products, both?
Yeah, everything. Package everything up.
Husband?
Why not? If he's there, stand still long enough. No. So what a lot of very talented, lovely people, I'm not taking away from them, but what some people do is they look at the overarching position of your business and help you position and brand your whole business. That there's nothing wrong with that. What I tend to do is flip it slightly, because the type of people I sometimes work with, they're struggling to articulate exactly what makes them different, knowing what offers exactly to sell. So we start with the offers and work up, because once you've worked out your number one thing that you want to sell for the next year or so and beyond, that is serving people you love to work with, that's profitable, that brings you long-term recurring income, if that's what you want in your business, who doesn't, and that you really, really enjoy, then once you've got that sorted, you can then add other offers if you want, and that can actually reveal what your overarching position is. So thinking about packaging up your whole business, my in to that is the offers. Start with the offers. That's what I do.
So just so that everybody else knows, I'm actually here as well. No, the reason why we wanted to bring you on about packaging is because it's something that you quite uniquely offer out of all the guests that we've had on, certainly in the last little while anyway. Do you help people create the package and suggest how it's put together and how it's promoted? Is that all part of your deal?
Yes. Previously, I've helped predominantly with the actual packaging, and I've got my own 3 Ps model, which is quite simply the promise, which is the messaging, like what are you emotionally saying that people can identify with and what they want, what matches their wants in their head. The package is the sort of nuts and bolts. Does it make sense? Are there rational reasons for them to say yes there? And the third one is the price, because pricing can get even the most stalwart of us sort of with our knickers in a twist about pricing. So once you've got those 3 things together, you can position your offer to attract the right kinds of people. What I'm finding now is more and more I want to help people with the selling and the promotion of it, because once you've got clear on all of it, that piece is really easy, but it's not always obvious to my clients. To me, it's like, oh, well, obviously you do these blogs and you would do these. And if you're going to do podcasts, the titles of the podcast would be these. And, you would obviously go about building your audience like this. And this is an easy way to sell. But it's a bit, up until now, I've thought, well, it's obvious now, so they probably don't need me anymore. And now I've realized it's probably a case of curse of knowledge. And what is obvious to me, it's not necessarily obvious to other people.
So true.
Yeah, I think especially if it's your own business, you're too focused on the minute details to see the bigger picture. We've talked about this before as well, where it's almost easier for somebody else to write your bio for you.
Oh,
because they're looking at you from a different point of view, a different aspect. So the promise that you are going to give your clients. So we met, just a little backstory, we met Janine at Atomicon in November 2021. Seems a long time ago now. And you were talking about buying a house and how you had certain things in mind, but then you definitely had things that you didn't want, like the location. And you ended up buying a house in the location you didn't want because it had things that you didn't realize you wanted. So is that the sort of thing that you grab out of people when you're doing, helping them with their service offers? Do you sort of see, well, people have been buying these services or these products from you, so why not bunch those all together and offer them the whole deal that way, rather than having 6 different packages.
Are you going to let her answer?
Yeah, I was hoping she would jump
in.
in.
Okay. Flavour. She's giving context. Yeah, yes, I would do. I do like sticking my nose into the whole range of offers when I start working with people, just to get a flavour of, some people, it's interesting. Some people don't have enough offers, and some people have too many offers, or too many ideas, should I say. It's rare nowadays that I work with people who haven't packaged up anything at all yet, because that can indicate that, quite a big mindset shift in their business. It's quite a big leap to go from absolutely zero packaged up offers and you're only selling stuff on the hour or on the day rate or something like that, to going to pure packaged up offers. That's quite a leap. So I don't tend to aim at those people anymore. I tend to work with people who've tried packaging up offers and they haven't actually managed to make it work for them. They're not selling easily. They're not enjoying the work that they are managing to attract. They might be attracting the wrong kind of customer. So that's the kind of problem I like to solve.
Mm-hmm. So is this because the majority of people you work with are a couple of years in business? So is that where there might be a mindset shift, sorry?
Yeah. I think they've definitely, it's rare that I work with people who've been working for under a year. It's more 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I work with people who've been working 10, 15 years in business and they haven't quite cracked this element of it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I've been working with quite a few people recently who have been done for you, like designers and copywriters, that kind of thing. And then they want to reposition themselves as a mentor / coach / trainer, consultant, that kind of done with you kind of service provider, which again, that's quite a big mindset shift as well. But as long as they're expert in their field and they've got that confidence, it's not a problem.
You actually created a perfect segue for me there. Thank you. So when it comes down to creating packages, would you advise people to try and build something initially by themselves, or would you encourage people to collaborate from the get-go in creating a package? Because you were talking about done for you. So I was just wondering which would be better in your opinion.
Are we talking... Okay, I'm going to answer it and then you can say, no, that's not what I meant at all. So if they're just starting out, I mean, I would always encourage people to experiment. And I always find it fascinating because some people naturally get it and they can just put together a package and they find the messaging that really hits home and they're matching what they're selling with what's in people's heads of what they're looking for. And they just naturally do it. And I can sort of see, and because I've, got tons and tons of business friends now. I'm a very, very popular person. I see from talking to friends, business friends, that they haven't had to have any help putting those things together. So I'd always encourage people as a first port of call to give it a go and, just follow some really simple principles, which I can share right now if you want.
Ooh. We have to, boys and girls.
Get a pen and pad out, people. The really simple principles of packaging up your business is you're selling what people want. So instead of selling by the hour or selling by the day rate or saying, okay, waiting for people to come to you and tell you what they want. I want this result. Can you quote me on that? And then you spend ages doing a bespoke quote. Instead of doing that, try and see what the themes are in the people that you work with, who you love working with, and the types of jobs that really light you up and that you really get you out of bed in the morning. Go for that kind of work and try and notice the themes and find what the solution is. What are people actually, or rather the outcome people are searching for? If you can package that up, that is something that you can put a price on and a strap line on, and then put together a package that isn't broken down by time. You can say, if you want this result, it costs this amount of money to work with me on this. And look at my lovely testimonials, because that's why I work with people who've been in business a few years. They've got tons of really, really lovely testimonials. And that's part of the frustration. They're getting all these lovely testimonials. It's like, well, blinking Nora, why aren't I earning more? I'm working all the hours God sends. and I'm not earning as much as my clients. I'm not seeing the benefits of this apparent amazing talent that I have.
Do you also think, you were talking about mindset shifts with the business owners, do you also think there might have to be a mindset shift with the consumer as well? For example, when you're going with, say, a website package, because web designers usually do 50% down payment, 50% on completion. And then if you want anything else after that, it's so much per hour. You can buy a package of, like a retainer deal after that. We at IPA Group, slight promotion here, have always from the very start done packages of, well, it'll cost you this each month over at least the first year. After the 12 months, when the website has been paid off, then you can opt to continue with that price, lower it, raise it if you want to add more things. But we find some people just don't get it. And once the website's done, they're like, well, no, I don't have to pay anymore. How do you work the mindset shift of the consumer?
Yes, that is a good one. I mean, the solution to that, I would say, to that example, is your content and just pre-qualifying people and doing some sort of sales content that helps people make the decision whether you're right for them. I can just see a blog or a video about 10 reasons why we're not the right people to work with, because we're thorough and we make sure that you're going to see the results for the long term. I mean, I could write the blog for you.
Please do.
I'll send it over afterwards. So that's the solution to that one. Is but from a sort of a broader perspective, it is about being really clear with the types of people you want to work with. What are they looking for? What are they open to? So what's on a lot of people's ideal customer avatar list is that they've got to be willing to be open to change, to be ready to respect you as the expert, for instance, ready to take risks, ready to take responsibility for their own results. Mm-hmm. So that's one on my sort of mental list of people I like working with, and I've experienced as a customer. I have worked with coaches, and I was too early. It was too early on for me to work with them. I didn't get very good results, but I don't blame them because I wasn't ready, and that was my responsibility. I remember still having a toddler at home and trying to work around that, and then trying to throw a few grand at a coach. Well, funnily enough, I didn't have time to do the work that we agreed on, and I didn't get any results. So I can't blame her. That was my fault. So
kids are like that, aren't they?
It's very time consuming when they're not at school.
They are.
And even sometimes when they are at school, like right now.
So we know who we want to work with, how you want to help them. But there is a certain expectation that you always have to create new packages, I think. Do you think that's a pressure that everybody should put on themselves? Do you have to create new packages every quarter or every half year, or can you just live with, creating a new package once a year or something like that?
Oh, that's like a red rag to a bull, that sort of pressure. No, I don't think anybody should pressurize themselves to do anything. No to pressure. And no, I don't think you have to be constantly creating packages. I think what you've got to be open to is tweaking. I think marketing is all, an offer creation. It's all about tweaking and trialing and testing. And if you launch something and it's a flop, it doesn't mean that it's completely rubbish. It could be just one little bit. It could just be one little bit that you need to tweak. And it's funny because most people assume it's the price, and actually it's usually the messaging or the package itself. In fact, messaging 9 times out of 10, I'd say it's positioned slightly wrongly. It's attracting slightly the wrong people. They're not quite ready to buy. You haven't explained why they should buy, or a million different reasons. But tweaking is the way forward. I think once you've been trucking a few years and you hit on a package that you love to sell, that's profitable, that's getting good results, that's the one that could be the front runner and becomes your whole business. However, there are personalities I know who don't like that. They're ADHD people. So many people now I know, especially women who've been lately diagnosed with ADHD, and it just doesn't float their boat having one thing and sticking to one thing forever. It's horrible for them. So I wouldn't it's what suits, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Now, you touched there a little bit on price. Now, we haven't talked about it yet because it is the big elephant in the room that everybody runs from as quickly as possible. How do you price your products or services in your package so that you're not doing yourself out of money? Because if this is the one thing that you're going to sell, if this is your one, you're not selling your time, you're not selling your hourly rate. How do you price it so that you don't, one, price yourself out of the job, or two, underprice yourself?
Yes, pricing. There's so many different angles I could come at. Let's try and calm down and think of the best one. So, number one, if you follow my 3 Ps method, it becomes easy. But seriously though, if you've got really clear about what people, your ideal client, what they actually want, it's got to be something valuable. It's got to be something urgent, something that they really want to change, like they're really invested in changing. Once you've got clear on what they're actually paying for, that really helps you realize the full value of what you're offering. And then if you do a thorough job of, okay, what am I taking them through? What knowledge am I drawing on? What training have I had to go through to get here? What investments in my own personal development and knowledge banks have I invested in? Once you've gone through all that process, then when you look at the price, you might find that your mindset has shifted quite a lot and you're willing to put a bigger price on it because you realize the full value of what you're offering. And it is really tricky if you start comparing and breaking it down. Ooh, hang on. How much does that work out per hour? That's the worst thing you can do, really. Or what does that make my day rate? It's like, no, don't do that, because that's not what people are paying for. So I don't recommend looking at competitors. And I also, my absolute top tip is never ask people what they'd be willing to pay. Whenever I talk about market research, people are like, oh, I could ask people what they'd be willing to pay. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Because from my experience, I used to be in corporate marketing departments, and we used to run, one of my roles, we used to run yearly market research. So we could compare year on year what, the changing perceptions and what have you. And for the first few years, we included price. What do you think of the price of the service? People always said it was too expensive. Oh, it's too expensive. Oh no, it's really, really expensive. I don't want to pay that much. And then they would pay it. They would pay it month after month after month, year after year. They would pay it. So it's like, right, okay. So they didn't mean to, but they were lying. And then if you do research about a new offer that's all lovely and shiny and sexy and sounds really exciting, and then you put a price on it, would you pay this? People go, oh yes, I would definitely pay that. Oh, sounds amazing. And then you actually ask them to buy, and then they don't buy it because it's too expensive. So you can't, it's just not reliable intel. The only way you'll know if people will buy at that price point is if there's a buy button. That's it.
And what do you think, what's your opinion on value adds on? So like, say you get this and this for this price, plus I'm going to throw in this and this at this value, but you're going to get it all included in this original price.
It seems to be kind of accepted as best practice at the moment. I'm not a huge user of that tactic, to be honest with you. And I don't know whether I'm cutting off my own nose to spite my face.
I think a lot of that is passive income, though, isn't it?
I've seen it on everything. I've seen it on coaching programs. I've seen it on group programs. I've seen it on DIY courses. I've seen everything.
Okay.
I've seen it in webinars, and then they sell at the end, and they're like, not only that, but you get this set of steak knives worth £3,000. I haven't actually seen that on a webinar, but I have seen similar stuff. I just think you got to use the techniques that you don't mind being used on you in a way. So like countdowns, I have no objection to countdowns whatsoever. Some people do. So if you have an objection to it, don't use it. It's got to be true to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got a sales page up at the moment. I did put bonuses, but it's they're not buy now, otherwise they'll expire. These bonuses are, worth extra £1,000. It's like, these are the nice outcomes of what will happen if we work with each other on this thing together. So I might as well list them here, because otherwise I'm not doing myself justice. So, but I don't have anything against putting bonuses at all.
So it's all in the way you package it.
Yeah, so you could argue the bonuses are part of the packaging. I would cover that on a sort of a client by client basis. The bulk of the work is more on the messaging, positioning, kind of pricing package, the actual nuts and bolts of what goes into it. Because so often a client will underestimate what they're actually doing with a client. They just think, all I'm doing is having a couple of calls a month. It's like, well, there's so much more that's going into that. You've got a methodology that you're drawing on. You've got these other skills that you're drawing on. You're using these. Sometimes they've done their own software or sharing their own techniques. You name it.
Just one more question on the whole pricing thing.
You're not dropping that, are you?
Oh, I'm not. I mean, I think it's something that people get into their head, that there's this price and that's, nobody would pay that. And then we've got the recession. So, is there a point at which you can increase the price of a package that you've already sold? Say it's a month-on-month thing, that you can say, right, starting from such and such a date, my prices are now 10% higher, whatever. Or do you have to just wait until that deal expires, and for your next consort or the next people that buy from you, then increase your price?
I think anything goes, really. It's whatever you want.
What have you found works best for people?
I will always help them price on the value of what they're actually selling right now. Recently, I haven't been dealing with people who are actually increasing the price of what they're currently offering. In fact, when we finish, they're like, this is an introductory price. I'm going to put it up for the next round. They're so eager to put the price up. It's awesome. We haven't actually had to cover it. It's like, this is just an intro one. This is just my first round. And already I'm feeling, you feel, I personally, as a business owner, I feel when I'm getting too cheap. I feel it. And I know
you start resenting it.
Yeah. There's this funny thing. You start resenting your own clients, and it's not their fault because they didn't ask you to drop their prices. You already did it. You sort of talked yourself out of it. But you're so right. This whole recession thing, it harks back to the beginning of the pandemic, where not everybody, but a lot of people were panicking. And I saw a lot of stuff on social media like, because everybody's struggling right now, I'm going to slash my prices. It's like, but don't you have a mortgage to pay? Don't you have bills? Don't you have suppliers? What are you going to do? Stop working with your suppliers, and then they're not going to have any work? You've got to keep the ball rolling. It's not helpful to make assumptions about what people can afford. Is it, do people need the value of what you're offering? Do they need what you're offering? Because often the people who are slashing their prices, they were struggling to sell before, and then the recession or the pandemic comes along and it's an excuse to slash prices further. But when you dig into it, they weren't selling very well before. So you've got to be careful. I'm sure there are areas where they will need to be more price sensitive because of the recession, but it's not as many as people think. There's a lot of panic. Am I allowed to mention that I do actually have a handy guide to help people increase their prices? That might be useful for me.
No.
Of course you can.
There you go. I took it back.
In fairness, we would love to be able to promote you more. So where would people need to contact you? Where's the best place to reach out for you, Janine?
You can have a browse on my website. There's some really good blogs, even if I do say so myself. JanineCoombes.co.uk. I usually hang out on LinkedIn. So you just search for Janine Coombes, or on Facebook, but I'm mostly on LinkedIn. And I am on TikTok as well, but just don't expect too much.
No, That's great. Thank you so much, Janine, for coming on and sharing your 3 Ps of packaging your business. If you do want to get in touch with her, guys, do reach out. Do get her free download and get in touch with her and let her know how you get on with your promise, your product, and your price. That's it for today. We'll be back next week for more Monday Morning Marketing. Until then, bye-bye.
So you're always holding out to see if I'm going to say goodbye, aren't you?
Yeah, and the guest as well. I mean,
I just thought, should I say goodbye? And I thought, oh no, she's wrapping up.
Yeah, we're just staring dumbly at one another here.
Wouldn't it be weird if the last word you hear is bye from me?